Well, I now have the re-release of Doom 64, a prospect I sorta blasted not too long ago, so I thought I might give it a go with a review proper. Given the modern treatment by now debatably venerable Nightdive Studios, Doom 64 has returned to give those mundane shooters of today a what for. An interesting fact, Doom community member Samuel is amongst the lead developers. Samuel Varaliel, the guy behind Doom EX and one of the main developers of the Absolution Total Conversion for Doom 2. That's something positive. Samuel also has professional experience under his belt as well. Indeed, he once worked at Timegate Studios, being involved with and what was quite possibly his first professionally developed title, Perseus Mandate.
Looks like we set you down in the middle of things. You did real good, son. Team's gonna need a new lieutenant after this. That had to hurt.
Ah, Another interesting fact, Nightdive also seems to have nicked a couple of other Doom community guys too. It's sort of like a modern day TNT situation going on here. But no matter, we're looking at the here and now, to see if this culmination of a journey, 22 years in the making, as the marketing really left to stress, truly lives up to all the OG 90 kids' expectations. As an aside, I played Doom 64. Very much enjoyed it. It sounds stellar to get that experience once again, polished up all spiffy. Now, for all you purists out there, worry not. Nightdive has stipulated that this re-release will be as close to the original as possible, which is just a more agreeable way of saying that they wanted to put as little money in it as possible. So then, what did they add? Well, let's take a quick look-sees at the graphic options. First, the display offerings. We have anti-aliasing, which the original had, funnily enough, just not to this degree. Filtering, which I am assuming is anisotropic. You can have it on, or not. Next is field of view. And that's that. Moving right on over to the video menu, I spy some very peculiar options. We have no less than 3 offerings of graphics API. Why, I don't know. Look, I realize tech aficionados appreciate this sort of thing, but this game isn't exactly all that of a system taxer. In fact, the N64 could still probably run it if you crossfired SLI'd enough expansion packs together. We're left in an odd reality where we have more choices for rendering options than there are graphic options that need rendering. We're at it, let's take this opportunity to set our video mode. A process you'll find taking far longer than it has any right to, as I decided to implement seemingly every possible monitor resolution in a non-Dropbox menu, to then include every possible hertz rate associated with them. Well, whatever, minor silly stuff. What matters most is the feel of the game, that greater experience it provides. We've all of original Doom 64 to relive now, so please, take a moment to ensure that your nostalgia goggles are on nice and tight. And now, let us Nightdive right in. Wait, this isn't right. Totally off the mark. We're in need of more ambiance up in here. Ah, much better. Now then. Doom 64 looks great, it plays great, which I say without lie nor artifice. Control is tight and responsive. The level geometry and design are crystal clear, while Doom 64's colors are really popping now. Somebody at Midway really knew how to color wheel. The re-release preserves the little things, like the camera hints and lighting sectors, which just couldn't be replicated all that well on TCs with modern systems. The Nintendo 64 was just such a fet of technical engineering people. PC gaming has finally caught up to consoles of 20 years ago. But that's far from all. Wait for it. Passwords for level selection. Aw, man. It almost brings a tear to this jaded gamer's jaded eyes. I could cry. I just choose not to. The lost levels and second selling point of the re-release are quite excellent. Varied and detailed, one can tell that they were made by someone with years of experience and dedication. The whole gamut of demons tends to be thrown at you in every level, which are designed to play to their strengths and weaknesses. Gameplay-wise, I would say they are better than even the core games. Though, there's not much in the way of problem solving as there is in the base game, which Doom 64 like to throw in every so often. The good ones tended to be rather refreshing. There's like one in the whole bonus chapter, which takes a second to breeze through. My previous presumption was correct. There is no free mouse look. It's limited to horizontal movements. It would have been nice to have, if only to get a better scope of the revitalized environments, but it's not what the game was designed for, so not right to detract from it in that regard. The only true objective issue I have, other than the unskippable intro you have to enter a damn starter parameter to bypass, is the auto-targeting. Vertical is necessary, obviously, but there's also horizontal too, with no means of disabling it. I get it, back in the day with an analog stick on a controller, seemingly designed for alien hands, it was merited. But with a mouse and or keyboard, even modern ergonomic controllers, if that's your thing, it's not really necessary any longer. I see it more of a detriment than a benefit. The horizontal auto-aim really should have had an option for switch-offsies. Other than that, this is a fantastic, solid re-release that remains true to the original. Well, really, it just is the original. I do, however, hesitate to say that this game is for everyone. If you're now just coming in from 2016 Doom Eternal, don't get it just because it bears the Doom name. It's a different game from a different era, brought into the future. Hell, even back then the game was a bit out of the norm. Aside from purveyors of retro shooters and previous players of Doom 64, this is a bit of a niche title. What it boils down to is a fiver for a good old game to not look like so much ass on modern widescreen displays, bearing smoothed out frames with some extra levels sprinkled in. And, if you want to count 2.5 paragraphs as story, some narrative elements. In a way, someone like, me, could just see this as obsessive DLC for a 2 decades old game. Could they have done more? Certainly. Should they have done more? Debatable. I still hold that Doom 64 isn't getting a similar treatment as other Nightdive games is because of a lack of confidence in said title. They themselves acknowledge its rather narrow appeal, which is unfortunate. Features such as bloom and dynamic lighting do tend to be hit and miss with older titles like this, yet spiffier sprites to go with the sharper textures would have been nice. Even if the original arts aren't obtainable for whatever reason, there are options they had. Higher definition sprites also aren't for everyone, but I'm certain most would have appreciated at least having such a choice. And this is just graphical stuff. You might not think there's a lot that can be done with older titles such as Doom 64. I direct your attention towards Duke Nukem World Tour.
I am the king of the world, baby. I'll rip your head off and shit down your neck.
A similar re-release of a retro title that the re-release of Doom 64 does not even come close to entering the same stratosphere of. Still, that's a $20 offering, this is $5. All things considered, the price, who, and what this game was exactly made for, Doom 64 accomplishes what it set out to do in stellar fashion. It's very much a blast from the past. Now, I don't really have a score system myself, so, 5 out of 5, I guess, if you need a number attributed to it. A great solid game, back then, and now. I'm happy to say I won't be needing these anymore. Good day.